Thank you.
Yes, maybe, I don't know, I got one in.
phone.
Yeah, it is, because this is, I think everybody's got something. This is my water, this is my water bottle. That I bring at my open houses. Oh, it got quiet.
All righty, thank you all for coming. Do you guys like to set up when you walk in? Very quiet. All right, so we're gonna get started. Do you want to introduce yourself, Katie?
I'm Katie Hansen, I'm with the Re-Equity Group.
Kelly Snyder, the Booty team, the Buddha team, sorry.
Whitney Small, Millennium Group.
And I'm Carol Shear.
And all four of them do a fantastic job on their open houses, and not only at the open house, but follow up to get clients too. So that's why we wanted them to present and teach you guys a little something today. So, so I'm a new agent, brand new. What do I do? How do I get an open house?
The big thing.
Go ahead,
You're
run with it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the big thing is just making relationships through the brokerage. You guys are in different classes. Our doors are always open, so making some sort of connection. You can also use Keller Williams Command to find email addresses as well, just to kind of create a relationship so that that other agent can trust you with their listings and their client to best serve within the open house.
I want to add to that too. If you're on a team, then you're going to have an opportunity to get open houses from that listing agent that's the team lead, right? But if you're not on a team, and let's say you're just a standalone agent, really seriously, what Whitney's saying is make relationships with other realtors, because there's plenty of realtors in this office that maybe don't care to do an open house, but they would like to have one done on their property and they need somebody to do it. So, hey, why not you, right? So I would research out agents like that. And then again, like Whitney said, get their confidence. I won't let anybody do an open house on one of my listings unless I know that they've attended a class, they know what they're doing, they've been with me, that type of thing. And I know that they're going to greet the people properly and convert it. Sorry, go ahead.
We have an office Facebook page too, so I've gone on there and posted that I'm available for an open house this weekend if anyone has anything.
And on our KW intranet, that's how I get quite a few, is I'll see a post and if it comes up really quick, I'll get on the phone immediately or an email and get one.
Perfect. And we also have Carol too, who knows what's going on in the market center. So,
Yeah, I've emailed Carol before and been like, hey, I have an open house this weekend, do you know of any?
And she's totally kicked it. I mean, there's so many, I can Bonnie, there's several other newer agents. I'm delighted to see all of you in here, believe me. Erica, a lot of them that have already tasted open houses and what they can do for you.
all right, so now I've done a good job reaching out and connecting with you, right? And finding out that you have an open house. What kind of communication should I have with you before the open house actually happens? So I found out on Monday that I'm gonna hold an open house for you on Saturday. What's my next steps?
Somebody else, go ahead, because I'll talk the whole time.
The first thing I do is I want to know if I can preview the property before the open house, because that way I'm really familiar with it. And that's the last thing you want to do is get to an open house and be unprepared, not knowing that the water heater is 2017 and not 2012. You know, you need to know the details, and that's what's really going to create the most successful bond with the client. So getting to know the house intimately before you go to it. And then knowing the neighborhood is the next thing. And I would say marketing yourself immediately for the open house, even around the brokerage. You want to make sure it gets to the front desk by noon on Friday and they'll publish it. So everyone's aware that you're doing the open house. Is another thing you want to do.
For me, it's knowing the neighborhood and the location. I want to understand what's been on the market, what was pending, what is sold, what is currently on the market, understand the comps, understand the school system, those types of things. Those little, for me, the water heater, the roof, I want somebody to ask me that and I'm gonna get their information. I'll say, I'll follow up with you. I'm gonna call them right after the open house, but it's a reason for me to give them a call. It's a reason for them to pick up my phone call. So that's the plan I use, but I want to know what the real estate market looks like in that specific area, especially for when sellers are coming in or neighbors. They want to hear what you know about their community. So if you have that information just right off the rip, able to talk with them about their neighborhood, it goes way further than just the simple, this is the house that we're in. Thanks.
And I think that's really important. So I can't tell you just as an agent walking through with clients, how many times you ask somebody doing an open house. What about this? What about this? What about this? And all their answer is, I don't know, I'll find out. I don't know, I'll find out. I don't know, I'll find out. And as a client walking through, guess what? They don't know if they're gonna work with you. They'll find out afterwards too, right? So that's being purposeful, like what you said, and knowing that information beforehand goes a really long way.
I'd like to mention too, that if you're going to be holding an open house, say on my listing. I want to know that you know the house intimately also, and then guess what? The whole key of doing an open house for a seller is to sell the house. So I'm really, really, really counting on you to help me sell the house at the same time. And if you know it better, you're gonna be able to sell it better, right? I mean, and you have to think about this. You're there to meet people, you're there to greet and build your business, but you're also there to help sell the home. And that seller is giving you that opportunity to build your business. So we kind of owe it to them, right? To help sell the house. I just want to remind you of that it's helpful to be on that side of it. Because some people don't think about, oh yeah, maybe the seller really was kind of hoping we do this today, right? So I'm just throwing that, and there's cameras sometimes too in homes, so they're watching what you're saying and doing. Just be aware, there's a lot more of that happening now.
Well, and you'll get nosy neighbors who come through too, right? Who that is a potential for a listing in the neighborhood. And if you don't know how to represent that house, selling it, you think they're gonna use you to sell their home? So it's another opportunity to make sure you know what you're talking about. So, anything else on that?
The only other thing that I do that is important to me is when I'm taking other people's listings that aren't from my team, I really want to make sure that I'm hosting their open house the way that they like it. Like, as you can see, all of our setups are a little bit different. So I always talk to, like, I've done a few for Michelle, and I want to make sure, like, if she wants balloons, I'll have balloons. So I just want to make sure that they want me to host another open house because I had a good communication with them and did it the way that they wanted me to.
That's a good point. All right, so now you're a pro and you know everything about the house. What are you guys doing to get people in the door?
I love this part. This is the best. Okay, so here's what I found that really drives the traffic in the door is there's certain times to put a listing or to have an open house. And when you have a brand new listing, an automatic email gets blasted out to everybody that's working with a realtor that has a search set up, or it's on Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, all those people searching. So as soon as it hits the market, right? What I like to do is in the property description where you describe how the home is, beautiful 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, blah, blah, blah. Start it in capital letters saying new on market, ! Open house, all in caps, with the date and the time, ! Because what happens is when people read about the home, that's the first thing they see. So that drives the traffic in the door. It also, the other part too, is to click the button in the MLS to add the open house, because then it populates everywhere. Okay, and again, that email blast goes out. So again, open it, new on market or price adjustment. That's another time an email goes back out. Back on market, another time the email goes out. Anytime those automatic emails go out, that's the best time to do an open house. As far as the timing on getting the people driving the traffic in. Okay, yeah. And then there's more.
So we do the same, and obviously put out to Zillow and things, but something that's been working for us is calling the neighborhood, and inviting them to the open house. So we're dropping voicemails to everybody, and I'm seeing a higher rate of sellers coming into the property. And they're fun to talk to, and they love to talk to the potential buyers in the house, let them know how fun the community is and all the things they love. So I love having them in the property. It just makes it easier.
How are you getting those phone numbers?
Through Mojo, Dialer.
Which we have here for free upstairs with Rapid Mortgage that you can use anytime.
Yeah.
So,
So you have to use it up in that
no,
designated.
the first time they'll get you set up and then you can use it from your own computer.
Okay.
What are you doing? Either one of you.
We do door knocking, so we'll
Okay.
make little flyers and physically go and meet people. And then we do a lot with social media, so. I mean, Taylor's even done like videos at the houses, and then I'll always post, and then when I get to the listing, I do like a walkthrough. And the last open house I did, someone came in, who follows me on Instagram and saw my walkthrough, so she came in towards the end. And, but when she walked in, she's like, oh, this isn't weird, but I just saw your video walking through this house on your Instagram, and so I wanted to come see it. And so we're big like social media.
You're like the open house pro, so.
I dig a little deeper. If I know the association is not too big or the community is not too big, I'll actually ask the homeowner prior or the person that I might be hosting the open house with for a list of the neighborhood names and addresses, because oftentimes you can get those. And just so you're careful with not calling people that are on do not call. It's a great way to actually have information and names on them, but it happens, it goes very well for me in condos, especially. You can search all that, trying to think through the auditor site, you can actually go in and you can get the list of homeowners on in each house. So you don't really have, you could use Mojo. I'm just not real good at cold calls, so I'll admit it.
I have another one. This is so fun. I have the title company create these for me, all right? And it's an open house invitation. And I send this to the neighbors. And it's awesome. It just invites them to the open house. You can do a special invitation, like maybe your open house is from 1 to 3, so you invite them to come at 12. If you like, you could do that. I prefer to invite them during the actual open house and have them come, and I put it in a very bright envelope because they'll note, I want them to see it, I want them to notice it, I want them to open it, right? It is with the labels on the front, the title company puts it all together because they can capture the neighborhood. But it's something that multiple reasons. One, it helps drive traffic in. 2, it shows the neighborhood how proactive you are as like calling or door knocking or all the other things you're hearing here. But it also, the reason I want neighbors to come to the open house, people go, well, why, my sellers, why do you want a neighbor and a nosy neighbor in my open house? I'm like, there's multiple reasons. One of them is they may know somebody that they want, a relative, somebody from work that might be interested in your home, and they're going to tell them about it, right? So that's one reason. Another reason is I want people, the neighbors in the house, so that it looks a little busier than normal. Not bad, huh? Not everybody knows their neighbors. Now, if they say that they're a neighbor, let's say they announce that they're a neighbor, they can talk about the neighborhood. Oh, yeah, those people over there have 3 kids, they're 7, 5, and 2. And those people over there, they're really nice. They know all about car maintenance, whatever, and they can help mow your lawn. These people over here. So it's just another way. And oh, we have a pool up there and the park's up there. We have parades going on in the neighborhood, and they do that. And they'll help you. They really kind of get a kick out of helping you sell the home, right? So that's another reason too, is to meet the neighbors, for the buyers to meet the neighbors. So I just have to throw that out there. So it's a fun trick too.
Is there a certain time or day that you guys have found works best?
For inviting or for opening of it?
All of it.
I always stick to a Sunday afternoon between 1 and 3. Works for me, works for my schedule. And I always seem to have some traffic on a Sunday.
I think it
So we
depends
usually
on,
do.
yeah, and it depends on where it is in town. If it's in if it's downtown or anywhere where you have foot traffic between like 5 and 7, Thursday and Friday nights aren't bad as well. So I've done Thursday, Friday, I've ddone Saturday and Sundays. I've done 4 in one weekend. I don't recommend it because the follow-up is just beastly. So,
If you're gonna do Saturday open houses, one thing to keep in mind in the fall, our Buckeyes game. So depending on that, you will not get anyone to come to an open house, so just be aware. Alright, so I know about the house. Marketed it properly, put it on the MLS, went door knocking, used Mojo, so I'm getting all these people to come. What do I bring besides my business cards?
I start up with this right at the front door. So I actually tape it with double-sided tape. If I have a clear glass door, it just directs everybody right to the sign in, and you want them signing in because there's no way to capture them.
I'll pass it around.
Sure, it's kind of messy. I have clean ones. But that's just a really great, and I can send that PDF out so that Samantha can get it to all the attendees if you want to use it, but it's a really unobtrusive way to get people to feel comfortable. Some people will shake their head and you get like the sigh of, do I really have to give you my information? It's like, yeah, you do, because this is the client's home and they've requested that you do, and it really does help. It kind of breaks the ice. But you want to make sure you're getting good information. So we all have different sign-in sheets, which you should kind of develop the one that works best for you.
Which one do you use?
I use the KW sign-in. It's at my station over there, but it's literally, it gives them a little more space. I feel that if you use just lined paper sign-ins, that they're too cramped, number one. And everybody's information is up inside of everybody's. And I think some people think about privacy when they're actually signing in. They don't want somebody taking a snapshot of the address list. You kind of want to be aware of just the security or safety aspect of it as well. But the one I use has like 4 lines and it separates it out. Then you can flip it over or collect the sheet once you fill it up. But I think that's important. It's talking, engaging with them starts it.
Do you ask if they're working with an agent or not?
Yes, it's on my sheet. It says
How do
I'm
you-
working with an agent.
So is it just a yes or no?
It's a yes or no, and then there's an area to put it down. And I usually ask them to go ahead and put their agent's name down because it's really vital for somebody if you work for first open houses that I learned were from Carol Shear. And it is vital that you get that agent's name because you could sell the house so much easier by having the agent's name. Just speak with the agent about what's the client looking for. It's a huge deal to get the name.
I do some like, it's probably the biggest shift that I made, just changing the wording of one question. I used to ask if they have an agent, and to blow me off, it's really easy to just say, yeah. So now I say, who is the agent you're working with? And it's so hard to like make up a name. So they're either telling me the truth and they give me a name of who they're working with, or they tell me, oh, we're not actually working with anyone yet. So that is the best thing that I've done in like the shift of my introduction to someone, is asking who is the agent you're working with.
And it's a way to also know whether if they answer that quickly or like the husband looks at the wife or one looks at the other and they're like,
Sue?
well,
Yeah.
then you know you have a
What's Sue's
standing
last
shot.
name?
Well, either
Not
there's
making an
also like,
impression.
if they say person last name and they're very confident, or sometimes they'll be like, oh, I talked to this one woman. And so I know I still have a shot because it's not a true relationship. They're not even 100% sure on the name. And so it's just such you get a lot of information out of that one question.
I found this years ago. The Columbus Board of Realtors actually is selling these. They may still, there's a phone, I'm gonna pass it around. There's a phone number on the bottom. You can order these. I put in the back of the room, you'll see a 3-ring notebook back there. And so I have them in the 3-ring notebook, and it also it has a card that comes with it that says seller requests registration, which I love because it's not me, it's the sellers requesting it, right? The other side of the card says visitors, please register. I never use that. I just use the seller requests. And then I also have a door hanger that goes with it that says, welcome to the open house, please come in. So some people will knock.
Yeah.
And you're in the middle of talking with somebody, it's like, come on in, come on in. But anyhow, it tells them to just walk in, and one of the sides says, remove shoes, please remove shoes if you want them to. What I have found on these cards are that, sometimes when you, and there's different ways of doing it. There's sometimes when you have a piece of paper and people are filling in the information, if somebody just puts their name and that's it, the next person is going to copy what they just did, and they're going to put just their name. Right? So on these cards, you're going to see on these cards that it's actually their name, their address, their phone number, their realtor's name. Are you working with anyone? Are you looking to sell in the near future? How soon? That type of thing. And they think that they have to fill this in because it says seller request registration. I get a ton of information and then I flip it over. So the card gets flipped over. The next person doesn't see what they did. And then I also put notes on the front of the card because I want to remember who they are. If you have a really busy open house, you need to keep track. And so those cards are a great way for me to keep notes on who these people were.
For me, I'm always changing up my open house strategy. So right now I am going with I lock the door. I lock the front door. It's where they have to knock. So I am immediately greeting them at the door, bringing it to the board. I am signing them in, asking about their realtor, or if they have a realtor, and then let them go. And then lock the door. And then if I don't have anyone else coming in, I get to meet them somewhere throughout the house to have a conversation with them further. But it's an immediate welcome, have that conversation and let them through the house.
So what do you do if there's multiple people? Like,
So it just depends. If there's multiple people, I'll just leave it unlocked. But here lately, especially if you're in a specific price point or location, they have been coming in pretty slowly. Really,
And if it's gonna be that busy of an open house, you can always get a buddy to go.
yes, yes.
That's,
highly
you know,
recommend that.
it's hard to gauge it, but I would say that we generally have an idea over time. If you need help determining, please ask one of us about what kind of turnout you're probably gonna get.
And I always used to, if I was using a sign-in sheet, I would fill in that first line with a friend, like a mock
Yeah.
buddy. So that way
There
it
you go.
prompts them on what they're supposed to do too. I switched up like Katie did from yes to no to the agent's name, and I would always put NA on that
Yeah.
first one. So then it prompts them if they didn't to know, okay, it's okay that I don't have to have agents. So,
Mhm.
right, so sign-in sheets, go.
Yeah, I saw somebody uses the same sign-in sheet. I used the one from the,
List report?
yeah, let's
That's me.
report. So, but I do like how you changed, because that one, it just automatically says yes or no for agents. You just have your own that you make up.
I
or-
fill out myself, and so I just rephrase the way that I ask the question. And we also have an iPad that people on the team use, but because I like to take notes so that I have something to like, oh yeah, we talked about your dog. So I just hold the clipboard myself and I ask the questions, so I'm the one who physically fills it out.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard to read handwriting, so.
All right, so sign-in sheet, business cards, what else?
Pens,
Calendar.
giveaways.
I love this. This one's a good one. I've gotten, I probably got about 10 sales off of just giving these out at open houses, because somebody will say, oh yeah, I saw your card on my refrigerator and I called you first. So get these. They're not that expensive. They're, it's a calendar. And it has recipes and all that stuff, but these work amazing.
I have hand sanitizer with my team and my name and my phone number, especially with, you know, COVID and all that. So I have that out next to my business card. So if they don't grab a business card, sometimes they'll grab a hand sanitizer.
I don't have goodies. I'll leave them with a piece of chocolate and a smile, and then I'll follow up with a card, a phone call. I leave a slide out right before I leave the open house. I'm giving everybody a call, letting them know I'm available through the weekend if they need to see any houses that aren't open. I'll send them a text. And then following up again on Monday and then sending the card back on the address.
All right, so 2 follow-ups to that. So you mentioned goodies. Do you need to take waters, cookies, candies?
I do water.
Water for sure.
Nothing? It's okay.
No
You-
water, just-
People get
It
dehydrated, I
just, it
think.
depends. If I know it's 90 degrees out, I definitely have water with me, but I try not to take snacks. I used to take tangerines and Twizzlers. And they were beautiful because you'd put them in a cool bowl and people just love Twizzlers. I don't know, but the kids got the tangerines and then I realized how much of a mess it was to
Yeah.
clean up afterwards. And I thought about the owner's house. It just depends on the house.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. But water is always a good thing to have because people will linger when you give them something.
Mhm.
And they also will tell you more things if
Yeah.
you've given them something. So just psychology, yes.
Cool. So you mentioned slide dial. What is that?
Slide dial it's an app you can have on your phone and I think it costs like 10 cents a call. You can like, put money on there. But it actually drops the voicemail without you having to talk with them through it. So it's a quick, hey, thanks for coming to the open house. Let me know if you need anything through this weekend. I'll be available. I'm just saying my phone number and I'll shoot them a text as well. So they have my information for sure.
It's a good idea to wear your name badge, by the way.
Yes.
I forgot mine, so,
Makes you official.
yes.
All right, so you got them all signed in now. Now what are you doing when they're looking at the house?
Getting to know them. I just try to become their friend.
I want to talk about like when they walk in the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they come to an open house and they walk in the front door, some of them are really uncomfortable just walking in to a front door, which is locking the door is brilliant. And I'm gonna try that, by the way. But you know, when they come in, some people have never been to an open house. So if you're in a first time home buyer price point, be aware of that they've never walked into an open house. I just start, when they walk in the front door, I'm like, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you made it. And I actually, when I walked through the group here, just meeting some of you, I was able to do that with some of you, right? I was trying to set you up. But I'm like, I'm so glad you made it. Thank you for coming. I'm Carol. What's your name? And they'll say their names, and I repeat it out loud so that I lock it into my long-term memory. Oh, yeah, Brad, Sue. Great. I'm glad you came. Hey, I got a question for you. I always want to know what marketing worked to help you get to the open house. So how did you find the open house today? And they'll say, now what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm qualifying these people. I'm finding out information from them. And basically what I want to know is, oh, we saw the signs, the directional signs. By the way, did you guys see all the signs out there coming in?
Yes, I loved it.
Okay, good. But we came from the signs. I'm like, okay, now I know that person or that couple or whatever, they don't know anything about price. They don't know anything about the house yet. They just came from the signs. Are they even qualified to buy a house? Or are they just kind of having a fun Sunday afternoon looking at properties, right? So I get that. And so I'm able to share with them, okay, so we're listed at blah, blah, blah. I throw out the number and I watch their expression to see if they go, you know, or if they're like, oh, okay. And then I go from there. Now they may say, oh, my realtor sent me an email. That's that automatic email that goes out, right? Great. Who are you working with? Again, back to, I don't remember their name or whatever. I don't know. Some realtor set me up on an automatic search one day, right?
3 years.
That means 3 years ago, right? And so they don't really know them. Or they know they give me their agent's name. And I'll say, oh, great. I don't know them, but I'm glad that you have that agent. You know what? Do me a favor. When you register, please write their name down for me. Okay. Now I know they have an agent, right? Or they might say, well, I saw it online. Oh, awesome. Zillow, Trulia, where do you search? Realtor.com? You know, where do you search? I don't know which one of those it is. And sometimes the spouse will look at the other one and say, where'd you find it, honey? Right? You know who's running the ship that way. Now you qualify that. Anyhow, when they find it online, you know, they've seen the pictures, they've seen the pricing, they've seen all this stuff. So they're able to, you know, you're able to now take it to the next level. And I always say, so how long have you been looking? That's my next question. How long have you been looking? Wow, well, we're just getting started, or we've been doing this for 7 months. I'm like, okay. So I understand this has been a crazy market, hasn't it? Things are changing now. Have you talked to anybody about that? You know, getting information from them. But now I'm able to qualify them and I know who they are. And I just basically will say, look, you know what? Feel free to look through the home. Do you mind if I come with you? Oh yeah, come on along, right? I asked them permission to come with them. No matter what, I'm going to go with them anyhow. But because you also are protecting the home. If it's vacant, it's a little easier, but you know, you're also keeping an eye on them. But, and then I just start throwing things out there, like you get to the basement, and this especially first time home buyers. Are you aware of radon? Do you know about radon? No, what's radon? No, let me tell you. And the purpose of that is to show that person, that couple, whatever they are, whoever they are, that they need me. And I know I have information that they need. And by presenting just silly things like that, it's not silly actually, but you're able to show them that you're the expert and why they need you. So, all right, sorry, that was a long one for me, but
I forgot the question.
Well, if you have that magnanimous personality that Carol has, then you're going to capture people just based on questions. But there are people who will be like shying away from you quickly, and don't take offense to that. People need a little bit of time to warm up. So I say observe and let them communicate as much as they can. If they're not communicating, then try to find those questions to wedge in that will get them to start talking, because I think the best way to get to know people in open houses is eye contact, a handshake if possible. And during COVID, you couldn't really do any of that. But I would say it's just connecting with them on some level, whether it's something they're wearing. I use their accent. If I know that I hear an accent, I immediately go into my accent mode because I'm really good about figuring out if you're from Central Michigan or Illinois or, so for me, it's about getting to know the people. It's so much warmer that way too.
The relationship.
Is
Will you repeat your first question? So I think that's great. Like it's the easiest icebreaker to allow somebody to open up to you.
The one about how did you find it?
Yeah.
So, I say, like, I have a question. I always like to find out what marketing worked to help you find the open house today. How did you find it?
I love that because most people like helping other people, and that's helping Carol in her business, and it's an easy icebreaker for that, so. So you mentioned something, you're always following people through, so what if you have multiple people in there and you have a lingerer? Somebody who's kind of giving you the heebie-jeebies, like, what do you guys do?
Don't.
Acknowledge them.
Don't turn your back to them.
I'll get somebody to don't tell them not to leave. I've actually did that once, just once. 19 years, once.
You told them to leave?
No, I had a person come in, I had multiple people and I had a lingerer and he was creepy. He was real creepy. He really, I'm not kidding. It was hot outside. He was wearing a black trench coat, bare feet, dirty feet. Ooh. Yeah, ooh.
What she said, she told the other people in the house, ask them not to leave.
Don't leave me here. Yeah, and Mace. No, I'm,
I always have pepper spray on.
just
me.
be aware, yeah, be aware of where you're at, the community
Yeah.
you're in,
I've been in just one open house where I kind of got stuck in the kitchen and it got a little nervous. So I always have something just in case, because you do kind of, if there's 5 people in the house and you're trying to play host, you can easily lose sight of who's in the house, what position are you in? Are you stuck in the bedroom? Are you in a bath? Like, you just kind of forget because you're playing house. So you don't have your guard up as much.
Yeah.
So I always have some sort of protection. I usually will wear something long so I can have it stuck in my back pocket. Just so I know it's there should I need it.
Yeah, I stopped going on into basements too. It was actually Taylor that we were talking about it one day and he's like, you realize if you're in a bait, like, how are you going to get out? And it's like the things that you don't think about, but as like, I mean, maybe men don't have to worry about it as much, but as a woman being in an open house by yourself, I would make sure someone knows the address of the house that I'm at and I don't go into basements anymore.
I would always peek out the front window if no one was there yet, to make sure I could see who was coming in and prepare myself before they got to the front door. So I would get an idea, okay, this person looks, you never know, but at least this person looks normal versus trench coat out of their feet.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know what I
Black
mean?
trench coat.
So, yeah.
It was hot outside too. It was hot.
All right, so now $1 million question, right? How do you guys follow up?
Go ahead. You guys are the best at this.
So I kind of shared with you my follow-up plans. So right within the open house, right afterwards, I'm leaving a voicemail to everybody on the phone. I do that just because I usually have appointments afterwards. So I want to make sure I am touching them immediately, but I don't necessarily have enough time for individual conversations. So a quick thank you. We'll follow up with you on Monday if you have any feedback for us for this property. We would greatly appreciate it. And I'll also send them a text because some people that's easier. They'll immediately say, hey, thanks so much. It was nice to meet you. And right there, you would have that communication. And I say, if you need anything throughout this weekend, this is my number, let me know. And then on Monday, we do a follow-up. So we have our drip campaigns. So as soon as they go into the system, they're going to be touched once a week. On Thursday or Friday, I will send them a list of open houses. So if I met them at an open house, they're probably going to go to open houses again. So if I'm sending them a list of open houses that are available for that weekend, it's just a value add to them. Can you see that?
Are you calling every single person that registered are you just calling the one, every single?
Every single one is the voicemail, and then on Monday, the same.
Okay.
Just again, fill them out. If they have a realtor and I got the information, then I will ask the realtor for feedback on Monday.
So if they just said, you know what, I'm a nosy neighbor, I'm not interested, would you still call them on Monday?
If they left their phone number, if not, I'm gonna look them up on Auditor, grab their address and send them cars and put them on market update.
Sometimes that nosy neighbor is seriously considering selling their house and moving. They just aren't ready to tell you that yet.
Right.
So definitely follow up with them.
I like that you send them open houses. So I used to do the same thing, and I think people get nervous, you're sending them out to more open houses, right? So. But if they have a question about one of those open houses, do you think they're gonna ask the person hosting the open house, or do they think they're gonna come back and ask Whitney? Because that's how they found out about it. So go into it with that mindset.
Yeah, you can just follow up with them on the Monday. So you sent them the list on Thursday, Friday. Monday, follow back up. Hey, did you make it out to any of those open houses? So you're starting that conversation, see if you have any questions and if they found anything that they liked.
A lot of these folks are gonna be handling open houses for seasoned realtors, for listing agents. What do you want them to know before they engage with your sellers at that property?
I'd love to speak on that. Thank you. Well, okay, one is for my sellers. And for me, to go, door knocking is not my favorite thing for you to do, if I can say that, only because it's my listing. I've already done a lot of marketing in that area, and then you're gonna go around and door knock. So I would ask that listing agent how they feel about that. They may be okay with you door knocking and knocking on doors and doing that kind of thing, and they may not. They may have already done all that already, and then you're gonna repeat and copy it, and that's kind of like careful to do. Feedback afterwards is huge, huge. The seller just is waiting desperately to hear how the open house went. So it's huge for you to circle back to the listing agent as soon as possible. I always call my sellers right after I pulled all the directional signs. I'm in my car, I'm done. They want to know as soon as I can. So that's really important for, because it makes us look good then. And I mean, just imagine if you're the seller, you just had a huge open house and it's now 8 o'clock at night, you don't know anything, right? So please circle back to us about that. Jonathan, what?
On feedback, I think it's an easy question for an agent to ask, right? So what do you think? What are you looking for? Is it price? Like, what should they be looking that they will then communicate to you so you have a quality conversation with yourself?
Yeah, all of those things. Is it, and you know, someone might say, well, this is just out of my price point, or I don't think the house gives me enough value based off the price that it's listed at, or, you know, the house up the street, that kind of thing. Or, you know, you've got these cracks in your basement walls. What about that? I want some information on that. You know, that kind of thing. So whatever feedback, condition, price, just like you would if you were doing a showing. And is there interest? You know, my number one question is, did we find a buyer today? That's really what I want to know as a listing agent, because that's huge. That's what we're doing it for.
And I say mirror a couple agents. That's the big thing. If you're new to it and you need to know how it goes, just mirror one of us or someone that you know that does really good open houses.
Do
Because
any of the 4 of you care if any of them shadow you?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So no excuses now. You have 4 people up here.
absolutely. And we all do open houses pretty much every weekend here, so.
Some more follow-ups. So we know how Whitney does. What are some of the other follow-ups that you guys do?
Asking for feedback is like my favorite way of doing it, because it's not me trying to sell myself. It's not me trying to like be pushy. I'm just asking like, what did you think of the house? And then, like you said, depending on what they give me back, it can push me into the conversation of, oh, it was a little above your price range. Like, where are you trying to be? And then just getting more information out of them. Sometimes I'll send a text sometimes instead of a call if they were younger, because I just, as a millennial, I don't answer the phone ever. So if they're older, I'll call. I just kind of get a read off of the person. If they're younger, I'll send a text and be like, hope you had a great rest of your weekend. I would love to like see what you thought of the house. If they are someone I have a good connection with, I really try to get them to take my card before they leave. I don't just set them there and forget it. I've had someone by the end of the day reach out to me and say, this isn't the house for us, but we love meeting you so much. Can we meet you next week? And they ended up buying a $400,000 house, and they reached out to me the day of the open house. So I really like to see if I can get them to take my card. And then also reach out to them on Monday and just say it was really nice to meet them. But I know that they have my information if something does come up and I haven't reached out to them yet, because I don't reach out until Monday.
I
What if
think
you did the open house on Friday?
I probably still wouldn't.
Curious.
I think the one thing I've found now that I'm in my 5th year in real estate or here is that over time, you think that somebody is not, you have your old sheets from who you talked to prior. Go back, circle back and send something to them 2 or 3 months later. If they haven't responded during that time, you'll be shocked how many people drop their agents, or all of a sudden they just put a name down that wasn't their agent. And the other thing I do to make sure I have good information is I use a program called Spokeo. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but SPOKEO. It basically is like a little mini FBI. It does cost about $30 a quarter, but you're able to go in and put a phone number in and see if it actually attaches to that name. And I like clean data. I'm not one that if the phone number doesn't work, I don't stop there. I usually go to the name and then look for the right phone number. And then I'm like, got your phone number because you gave me the wrong one. But it's not too, it sounds a little cheesy or seedy maybe, but it actually has turned into sales because people are like, wow, you really knew how to ferret me out. And now you really want me as a client, and it works. So follow up later is really important.
How are you following up, Phil?
I do the phone calls, and texting, and she's right, the older people prefer the phone call and the younger people, don't call me, text me. So that, I think that definitely works. And it's just basically, hey, it was great meeting you at the open house and I would so love to work with you. I really like you guys. And I do that with people I like, actually. So, but no, I really do. I mean, I like people. Who doesn't want to work with somebody that, you know, doesn't like them? You want to work with somebody who likes you, right? So I let them know that I really like you guys and I would love to be a real estate agent and help you through the process, that type of thing. So most of it is phone calls and emails or texts, that type of thing. You know, if they give you their address, a handwritten note card on a Keller Williams note card is awesome. I mean, who does note cards anymore, right? So be different. The whole idea is to be completely different than everybody else. And if you're different, you're gonna stand out. You really will.
So a
So
lot of people give your address. I don't even
Yeah.
ask for it. But
Mhm.
people do.
mhm.
On the card. she
On the
uses,
cards I
it
use,
does.
yeah, yeah. They do, because it says seller request registration.
Right.
Like I gotta fill it in.
And it's another one of
Right.
those, it's another one of those situations too, where, you know, we do cold calling or you do mojo dialing and you get either no response, or if you try again and you get a response and it's a no isn't a yes to me, because you're just going to call, you know, you call again, or you just reach out again in 3 to 4 weeks, and you never know, because you might have hit them at a time where they couldn't talk to you. You just don't know. So I always say, don't take a no as a definitive no.
How many times do you guys follow up before you give up?
I probably give up faster than these guys.
We use drip campaigns too. So even if I physically stop, I'll set them up on something so they're getting some kind of a text or an email every 2 weeks.
I'm
And
pretty
sometimes they do
aggressive.
reach back out.
I'm aggressive the first 2 months and then afterwards it's whatever. So either those first 2 months, I'm sending a value add. So like an article that I read that I thought might be helpful, the open house list, inviting them to an open house that I'll be at, things like that. And if I'm not getting any communication from them, they're on a drip and I put them on a market update, kind of like, okay, I met them at a 350 house in Lewis Center Schools, 350 single family. They're on a search now and I can see if they're watching that and opening those emails up.
You do that the same way you do carry out the list of how you send them, you just put their.
Yep, you can set them up with like an automated search, however you want that to look. And that's another way you can do it within MLS. You can set up that open house list to go out automatically, so you don't have to do it every week.
And drips are the same as smart plans, which Rachel can help you with those.
Drip is a drip.
So a lot of different ways to do stuff, right, up here, but the one thing that my biggest takeaway is that they're all purposeful in the way that they go about what they do, right? So what questions do you guys have for them? Go ahead, Nancy.
Do you guys print out like an RPD to reference or a description sheet to give out?
I always have a residential property disclosure. It should actually be at the property at all times. So typically what I do is the listing agents, I'll have a notebook, a 3-ring notebook, and I'll put the residential property disclosure in a plastic sleeve so it doesn't disappear. And then other information like the deed restrictions, if I have that, I'll put that in there, but that'll always be at the property. And then as far as a handout, an open house handout, you can have a brochure, that type of thing. And a lot of, I think you guys will do that. It's my listing, so I already have the brochures, but you would definitely want to give them something to walk away with your contact information on it.
So do you guys recommend that you, like, do you go to the person who is listing it and ask for them?
You can pull it off the MLS too.
Yeah, they should be in the document section as well.
Yeah.
But I would talk to the listing agent first, just to
Please.
clear anything
Please.
you're taking.
And the MLS report too. That's,
With agent to agent.
yeah, with your agent to agent information.
I would add on to that, requesting as someone who's done open houses. The listing agent knows the most about the house. So anything you can tell me before I get there, so that when I start getting questions, I mean, obviously I read what's on the MLS. But if there's any other information, especially that market stuff that you talked about earlier, if you've already done the market survey, let me know that, so that so that I'm prepared and I'm not double doing work. If you've already done it, why should I have to do it again?
Yeah.
Probably a good idea would be to preview the property before the open house, if you can. I would make sure, I think that's important. Go ahead.
The number one question I get at open house, especially right now, is are there offers on it already? So before the open house starts, I've already talked to the listing agent, and even if there are, I still want to know how they want me to present that information, because they might not want to lay all their cards on the table. So I go in knowing how I'm responding to that question, because I don't think I've done an open house where someone doesn't ask me that.
Well, it's so important to know what we can say and what. we
Yeah, because there's stuff that you need to know that just isn't on the
Good
MLS.
segue to Biddle. I know you're gonna comment on it. All right, I beat you to it.
So we can hear you, Lori.
So at what point are you discussing the final agency laws?
Okay, go ahead. When they come in, okay, when they enter the home, it's important for the buyers to know that we're representing the seller. And you are too, by the way. Even though you're not the listing agent, no? Okay, Lori, come on up. Oops,
Your team,
okay, okay,
the other independent agents are not.
okay.
So, yeah, they're facilitating the open house. You were.
Okay, okay. So anything you tell me today at the open house, well, Lori, I mean, I apparently am skewed, so I really need your help.
Yeah.
You want to explain it, please? Court?
Our newer agents know their scripts. So when you are at an open, my newer agents, you know your scripts, I thought. You introduce yourself, your team and your company. I'm here today. My team has the listing and we represent these sellers. So please don't share anything you wouldn't want us to share with them. That's what a team listing agent says. You have to get that out. There are checkers coming. You have to get agents to know quickly. If you're an independent agent facilitating for somebody else. I am Lori Molnar with Keller Williams Capital Partners. I'm here today facilitating the house, facilitating this open house page, do not represent the sellers. And then we further get into discussion. Have you selected a realtor to work with you? But you've asked those questions, but I like to ask the whole person as well. So there is a difference that there's no sub-agency in our brokerage. So because they're holding an open house for the seller, they're not working for the seller.
Okay.
But he has to understand that. If they're not the listing agent or on the listing agent's team. Okay.
RPD question, would you also advise not getting into the RPD and sales boxes where you have something formal signed?
Yeah, I would leave that to the listing agent.
I don't, so I'm independent and I don't, so I'm like, I would never talk or ask any of those questions,
No,
because I from the
because you're
beginning
not such a-
saying. I'm a buyer's agent, I am no way, like, offers are due by 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and that's like about what I have, and the reason is because you don't want them knowing everything.
Right.
You wouldn't want me to tell the listing agent when I'm trying to negotiate a deal with you as a buyer, right? So, and usually like, that's the explanation. Now I'm wondering, do I need to say anything more technical? I always just say I'm a buyer's agent, not the listing agent, not representing the
Don't
property.
say that. just say, I am facilitating this open house for the listed agent. I do not represent myself. You
Okay.
can- You can discuss what, what kind of agency you offer, or whatever. But I would like to get back to the asking when people come in and ask if there's offers on the property. Unless you're the listing agent and have permission from the seller to disclose that, I don't think any of you should answer that question. Oh, I do answer. I'm not the listing agent,
You would say,
so I'm not privy to that.
the listing agent request that the person has no, not there.
Then you can ask them.
Yeah.
That's a separate. Yeah. Seller commission only.
I would just get an email from the seller saying, you have my permission to share this with the people at the open house today. And that way you're covered, and then it's in writing.
All right, what other questions we got?
What changes are you seeing in your open houses now that the market started to adjust?
A lot less people.
What
Mhm.
opportunity are you seeing in your open houses now?
Thank you. The opportunity is we have time to talk to people and actually establish a relationship versus in the past where it was like standing on a chair saying, hello, everyone,
Right.
welcome, So I think just meeting and bonding with people. So that's the opportunity I'm finding.
I would say strategy around picking your open house is now key. A couple months ago, you could throw a sign anywhere and people would show up. Now it's what's the price point, how far in the neighborhood, how many signs are we gonna have to put out? I'm really strategic on what open house I'm taking and how to get people through the door. Or the best opportunity to be able to get people through the door.
And that goes back to have those relationships, right? So if you know, have relationships with the big agents in the office, you're gonna get first dibs at those open houses, so.
Do you have like a minimum amount of directionals that you put out for your houses?
I have 5 signs, so they're all of them are out. I do 2 at the front entrance and then however far back I am, they're used as directional. And then I have my shark fin that I'll either put at the, if it's a busy road, I'm putting that at the entrance or I'm putting it at the house. So it's kind of like shows where the house is. But I love the shark fin. It's so much easier than having to deal with balloons and it's actually like, it's tall enough. So if you've got cars parked, you can still see it above instead of middle directional, it's kind of down on the ground. So it's been very helpful. And like I said, I don't deal with balloons, which thank God.
And we do have a helium tank if anyone does want to do balloons, so.
And it depends on the neighborhood, like she said, how many, I mean, I've done up to 10 signs when I was on a different team. And it got a little nuts. It would take like a half hour to collect your
Right.
signs afterwards. You're like, wait, what corner was that?
You gotta get them afterwards.
But I used to do balloons and then I decided not to. Environmentally, I just said no more balloons.
Mine were always pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fly away. and you're like, "Hmm."
I would suggest for your open house directionals, to have a map of the surrounding area and map out with circles on where you're gonna put your signs ahead of time. And then it also helps you figure out where to go get them afterwards, so you don't accidentally leave one.
And where the higher traffic is.
And the higher traffic, right? Sometimes you do double signs, like you'll see out front. There'll be double signs, one on each side, just to make sure that if cars parked are pulling out of a street, that they can see it on the other side, that type of thing. I've done 10 to 12 too.
Yeah.
And major roads. Wave your arm, don't get hit, okay?
Yeah.
Just be, and then I've actually stood there, this is my personality. As I'm
If you
putting a
have no one
sign
in the
in,
house,
hey,
I've done
come
that.
on.
Yeah. Stand outside.
Yeah,
What's your opinion of best days and times? I've heard a lot of them are doing now Friday nights.
Mhm.
What do you think? Saturday, Sunday? One better than the other?
I like a Friday night. I'm finding Friday night from 4 to 6 has been a good time. Actually, it depends. It depends on the listing but Friday night, 4 to 6, I like Saturdays, 1 to 3, Sundays, 1 to 3. Most people I think are mentally prepared for Sundays, wouldn't you say? That's like a psychological, all open houses happen on Sunday, but I do think that, Friday nights, I like them. I'm sorry, I keep talking.
Have any of you ever done a neighborhood invite first, like a Thursday open house for the neighborhood and then a Sunday regular open house?
I did it once for one of Carol's condos in Little Turtle.
Yeah.
And I did an hour before.
Yeah.
I did the, and it was kind of fun because it was like a little social hour. The neighbor came over, a
Yeah.
couple others showed up, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good way to break the ice and not have so many people there. Whitney likes to have them at the same time, which I kind of get as well, because it shows the amount of people that you've drawn to the open house.
The thing I think you gotta be careful about that is if the property's vacant, that's probably easier to do than if it's occupied. Because the owners are going, what are my neighbors coming for? That, it just, yeah, so it's not for them.
Yeah.
But,
How
They
long
ask permission.
before the open house do you put your signs out?
oh, good
That's a
question.
good one.
Yeah, that's a good
It
question.
depends on what the rules are for the neighborhood.
Her question is, how long before the open house do you put your signs out? That's what she asked in case the video.
It depends on what the HOA says. If they're allowing me to put them out a day ahead, I'm going to. If not, then we will wait. I usually show up an hour before my open house. If I can do it the morning of, like 9 a.m. beforehand, I will, depending on what the schedule looks like. But at least minimum an hour. If I can do it a couple days before, we will.
And if it's just the sign on the main
Yeah.
for
you
sale
always change that.
sign, I do it just many days in advance as I can.
Mhm.
Because you want people in the neighborhood to drive past it as many times, and then anybody who's not from the neighborhood to see it. And then with your signs, you know, the directionals, I usually do it the morning of or the day of, because I think it's confusing to a lot of people. They're driving by and it's like, this house isn't open. When the sign's out here.
But make sure you have this.
Mhm. When I've done it like a Friday before the open house. Yeah. The neighbors actually appreciate it, like, because they're seeing the signs for the next couple of days and they always show up and are so excited that we did that type of marketing for their neighbor's house, so. But again, it completely depends on the HOA.
Where are we finding that HOA information from?
On the MLS, you just give them a call.
Well, that could be something you check with the listing agent. that
Mhm,
we
they might know
connected
too.
to, and Ask them, hey, is there anything I need to be worried about sign wise with this
Mhm.
property? What else we got? Nothing, you guys are quiet.
Katie, you mentioned social media marketing. What does that look like exactly?
So we always get a post out a few days ahead of time and then, with like a few pictures on it saying that there's gonna be an open house, but every single open house I do, I get there, like I wanna be in the house at least 20 minutes early because I want the time to myself to do a full walkthrough to post on social media. So I do that and then for a few days leading up, like after there's the main post, I'll talk on my stories and I'll just like, oh, I'm so excited for this open house. But I'm like a big on Instagram, into like Instagram marketing in general. So it's a general feed post and then just popping on my stories a few times, talking about like my weekend plans and I'm gonna be at this open house and if you're free and looking for a house over here. And then a full walkthrough that's like basement to the upstairs. And so I do that before anyone else gets in there. I start outside and work my way through the whole house.
Is it a story or a reel or?
I do it on my stories because by the time, like the stories are only there for 24 hours, so I don't really need it there after that. I do reels of just general like real estate humor, but open house specific stuff, I just do on my stories.
I like to post open house stuff, like if there's a neighborhood Facebook group. Sometimes you can post it. Katie, how long have you been practicing real estate?
I started in February.
In February. How's open houses work for you?
I've done over $1 million in sales from people I met at an open house. Thanks in February.
It's
job.
awesome. Yeah. Everywhere. Great.
All right, no other questions?
Can I mention what we don't want to do?
Absolutely.
I mean, I have walked into open houses with buyers, okay, in the past, going out, we're viewing properties. And I've actually walked into an open house where the agent's just sitting there in the chair on their phone or just looking at their phone and just going, hey, look around. And you could tell they're tortured to be there, okay? They're just tortured. Do not do that. Please stand up, greet the people, welcome them for coming into the home. and invite them in. That's like the worst thing you could do is just sit there and just to basically ignore them. And you could tell the agent just has the open house just to hold it open and make the seller happy. They're not there to interact whatsoever. And the other thing too is don't be overly aggressive. Like you can probably tell my personality, I'm definitely not afraid to talk to people. So, but I did walk into an open house one time with a buyer and this agent attacked us. It was like, you want this? And it was just like, whoa, please, calm down. Oh my word. We didn't even want to talk to her. We couldn't wait to get away from her. So, I mean, so you don't want to be that person either. You want to be genuine. You just want to be genuine. And be you.
Don't do a Red Bull right before it.
And you're allowed to go to other open houses, so you can see how other agents do it and what you can pick up good from them and what not to do as well. So you're more than welcome to do that.
Not a bad idea. Yes.
All right, well, big round of applause for all of them.
I want to thank all of you for coming and good for you. We have lunch that is being provided to us today by Tim Adams. Tim Adams is with First Community Bank. And I want to share with you just a couple things before he comes in and talks to you, but some things that he's been able to do for my clients that are huge, huge. The First Community Bank also does what's called portfolio loans. So portfolio loan means that they're not selling it to Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, they're keeping the loan there in their own bank. So they're able to make their own decisions. I was in search of a bridge loan. Okay, this is from years back, bridge loan. What's a bridge loan? Well, a bridge loan is where your buyer can purchase a home without having to sell their house before they purchase it, right? Yay. And what they do is if the person qualifies, there's a lot of factors involved here, but I'll give you an example. I have some clients, they wanted to sell their house, they wanted to buy new, they didn't want to sell their home they want to be homeless. So they had lots of equity in their home, great income. Tim was able to put them into a new property without having to sell their home at all. They ended up moving into their new property. We put their home on the market and sold it. Okay. And then they paid off that mortgage. It was awesome. So we didn't have to worry about a home sale contingency, even though they needed the equity from that. Second client that I had that wanted to buy, get this, who can do this? Wanted to buy two houses, one for herself and one for her mother, right? And downsizing price wise, and take the equity from her $750,000 house to buy these properties. And they had to be within 5 miles of each other. And I mean, it was a one story. It wasn't easy. We did it. We actually did this. And he was able to take the equity from her one home and do a blanket mortgage over the rest of them. So there's like covering all three. And she was able to purchase 2 homes without having to sell her existing home or use any of her assets or anything like that. So for certain buyers, this is an amazing product that I definitely would encourage you to look at. And Tim, please come up. This is Tim Adams with First Federal Community Bank. And he's the guy that put this together for my clients. And I'm impressed. And thank you for lunch.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Listen,
you.
guys, I was not a chicken salad guy. As you can tell, I'm not a chicken salad guy. My wife brought home this chicken salad chick 3 weeks ago. You'll be a chicken salad guy. It's fantastic. Don't leave until you grab some of it. And there is barbecue for the guy. And she's like, try this, try that. It's like, no, just give me the barbecue. I don't need the grapes and the almonds and all that, but it's fantastic. So real quick, a bridge loan. Anyone ever played around with a bridge loan before? No. Yes. Okay. And what is your name? Marcia, where'd you work on a bridge loan with? Who was the lender?
Sort of a bridge loan, right?
Okay, cool. So you buy a house, if you take anything away from today, 1, take one of my cards, and 2, take away buying a house with absolutely positively no money out of their pocket. And you sell their house. So you get 2 deals right now, right? So your sellers are buyers, likely, okay, likely, not all the time. So if you take anything away from this, I do conventional. I probably have the lowest rates or close to in town. Everyone tells you that. It's true. I can modify my rate to whatever. We don't get paid off the rate. So I can drop the rate as far as I need to make you look good and to make your client happy. FHA, conventional VA, USDA, we do those too. Construction loans, buy some land, we do those as well. Okay, so we do everything. I've got a commercial loan in 7 acres in Powell next to a market there. Mosier's Market. Anyone know that name in Powell? Mosier's Market? Okay, don't share that. We're gonna buy this 7 acres and they're gonna make it a corn maze, smashing pumpkins, all that fun stuff, bigger parking. That's a commercial loan. We can do commercial. Okay, so we do it all. I don't do a lot of open. I don't know if you do or not, but I don't. So I won't keep this long. The bridge loan, you walk in, you sign your paperwork, they give you the keys and you leave. You move into the new house. Then you go put a for sale sign in their yard and then they sell their house. After that, it's not your problem. My problem. Now we take the proceeds, not all of them, some of them, maybe all of them if they want to do that. And they put the proceeds down on the bridge loan balance. Okay, at that point, I just refi them into a conventional loan below market rates. Okay, so the nervousness of rates, don't be. I've read, I've learned, I've listened to probably more rate predictions than you guys. Next year will be better. We're going to be in the 4s, mid 4s. And we're still 4.675 right now with our rates. Okay, so if you need anything, my card is there, take one. Eat. There's probably more than we need. And then the last thing I will ask you. Ooh, big deal. $25 gift card. Woo, big deal. It's 100. It's 100. So the first one, take out their phone and text me. Look at you guys. You could use this as a closing gift, no? Or you could just be selfish. Keep it to yourself. I would keep it to myself. I love this store. The first one, if you have my number, who has my number? Carol?
I have your number.
Anybody else? Good, then you all qualify. Carol's out. The first one to text me, let's meet, and your name, will get this card. Okay? And it doesn't count if it comes in before I said go, but I didn't say go yet.
Get my phone.
No, you don't count.
I don't care.
No. And then what I will do for meeting, if you want, we'll grab lunch. We'll grab coffee. Okay, we'll grab an early dinner. It doesn't matter. But let's talk about how we can grow each other's business. Most lenders just tell you how great they are. I need a lunch for that. Okay, seriously, you need to work with us because we have got programs that will save you and grow your business. Ready? The phone number, everyone ready? Remember, let's meet and your name. 614-657-7358. Oh, look at this. So the first one would have been the one that first came. Let's scroll down. Oh my goodness, look at that. So 1209. Who's Samantha?
Look you on Facebook.
Oh, nice work. Samantha, you're the winner. So I'll let you guys do your thing the rest of the day. I might grab one of these little things on the way out, but if you need me, my card's there. I'll reach out to you with a quick text and hopefully we can set something up, okay? Is that cool? All right, nice. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good setup, thank you guys. Thank you.
That was great, you guys. Thank you.
Got good stuff out of it.
Good luck, Rory.
Anything you want to tell me?
Carol,
Like what's important to them? Oh,
what is it called?
Carol,
9-8 week.
I'm here. And then there's Kelly.
Oh, when you're ready.
They are. They're sweet.
How are you?
She's much more. Than
On,
you.
it's off. Ready, guys? 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do a video. Can you guys just wait for me?
Should we jump?
It is.
More jumping?
I got
Like I did, start the video.
Okay, ready? Yeah, whatever you guys wanna do. What do you wait? You can wait. Oh, okay, wait.
Where?
Ready? Okay. Perfect, thank you. Thank you. I want to take her too.
Yeah.
What else can you think?
Oh,
Was that video last night?
Mhm. I posted it, but
I would say back when you're leaving on stage in December.
I already have. Okay, and then.
They're gonna be
But you did great. We can, I don't.
You're holding the good puppy.
Thank you. Even though you're.
Yeah, my God. So good.
Yeah, we can use video here. Like we did that, and I can do that.
I know.
Okay, yeah, I think.
Did you see, did I get those to you or no?
Yeah. I think one of your granddaughters.
Yes.
Yeah, those, I did that. But they're getting it about next week.
I have so many.
Yeah, there, she was.
I know, way too much fun. We won't go through those things. Anyhow, here, let's see, yeah, this is a good one too. That's another day. I mean,
This is whatever you want me to like post for that. You can send it out.
you do my grand, but. Okay. Oh, boy.
How do-
And he's-
The problem with Drive, I did get it, my email, so when I made it, so it means I didn't put it for it.
But he's
I
definitely.
know that it's
He will ask.
my video. Like your share, and that's where then you would add something.
So the first. Which I would say.
You want me to do a video?
That was like, it was so fast. Can you like type out like this? Hit the-
Ask your child.
That would be all, that's if I do. Then I got.
Okay.
Yeah. The video thing was going so fast. I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like. I'm like, Austin, here, you figure this out.
They get possession on
Video.
it.
And- 'cause it was like.
Oh, right.
Say what?
But they get
Huh?
possession.
Wait. Oh, what?
Okay, so it was a drive, and then I shared,
There's even pain.
and then you.
Yeah, I,
My phone. Okay.
yeah, so that's why
It does have some part of it.
I have to do, so
I will
anyhow,
do that.
yeah. I would so proud of myself. I'm like, look at Rich, I'm gonna send this to her, watch, they're laughing at me, you can't, you're not gonna be able to do it, I'm like, no, I am.
Oh,
I mean, you could have filmed it exactly, but I mean, it's.
Both of them do have.
Great, I mean, your big tree house, 25, 30, 20 to hit 30.
I'm Joe, it's my wife Sam.
Yeah.
Surplus. Yeah, so I have to job only around for a month. So last Friday was my first day. So I bought a fire. So it is a fun like my 2 years. They didn't meet. And
So, one of the five people, or
you can do it. I love you to sell my own house. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Wherever you. Like, I was curious. We were doing. That's my. Oh my gosh. But.
I think their bottom line is about.
One of my best marketing people I ever bought. Hired here.
Yeah, for you.
This kind of idea. I got blackie.
When you saw this. So this guy.
They should be over there. Good to see you. Really? I'll look at you.
People go, this is a people go.
Yeah.
And she will pull me up to go, like 2 years later, my pen ran out, another one, and I'm like, what? So.
Oh, my God.
I did. I don't market, that's like any marketing. I can do one. That's what you.
Something.
Low originating. Sales for the entire car. Okay. And they're like.
Like, the heat comes was.
And there's, commercial, and there's.
Right.
But guys, you know, yeah, that's like hands down.
Okay.
And did you guys get played on the Isn't he like, is it already in the MLS?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I messed up, so I'm learning. But,
I did not miss them.
I didn't mess it up. I should have fixed it. But
Yeah, you're,
yeah, I didn't realize. So I thought it wasn't. So it's, you know, so you have to go send it back over to Dolly. You get rid of the marriage.
yeah.
They were loving, the property. That's how sweet it is.
Their name, not their name.
So smooth. You know what I did, but I didn't pull that money along. Should have done it.
So when I get a new, I go out.
I said we didn't mind. They got so disappointed.
Right here, so, and it gives you everything, sermons. It'll give you the needs.
I'm so bummed that they-
Always start there, because that'll show you. That'll show you that they have title.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody's not in here, after they bought the house, then they're here.
I got that.
But they still, they don't have to sign the listing paperwork, but they have to sign off. And sign off on the plan.
The doubt.
Correct.
Good to know. And then use that, print it out and build for opportunity.
So what you got the address, you got all this information, you know, then there's. Realness is another report.
It actually.
And then when you do your property description, then you look at before you get into the property, okay, and then the property description. Okay. Then you keep it on that one. Open house on your side.
Yeah, we.
So when you go to the statement, it goes in, once you catch, then you take it live, and then now you have. Scroll down on the screen. Maybe. But there's a button.
Right?
The bank, yeah. Yeah, I just know when we had it. Scroll down a little bit. Really, no.
It's just so.
I don't want to.
And I've talked to. Like, I think they're, you know, I've done those perspective. You telling them.
Yeah.
Well, my agent knows it.
Because you told me. This is what you get.
Yeah.
They already are already, you know.
You're up. I'm gonna be mostly. May not see it. I think they're really wanting to make sure that.
Started wondering.
We're really aware. Anybody that can serve. I'm in terms of you like staff. We want to see you. It's something really. That they got to do.
I went to the, I had a few one, and I. Copy, it's just going, I'm gonna go I'm Carol. I'm new.
Yeah.
I'm Carol. Yeah, I'm new. Where did
I just feel like I'm living here.
And I just like suck all this information from everybody. I'm like, oh, you know, you know?
Maybe still 10 minutes. I'm like, I have. And there you go.
I would do that, you know, and then you're gonna be able to. But that's what I was able to do, it's like that, I. Whoa. And then freaking all out.
Never your next. That's a. Shadow, yeah. So, just make So we will. Talk to you again, bro. Because, you know, you're selling. I'm interested in what the condition of the place was. Hey, I'm gonna give you a suggestion. I think that- And there are two things. The idea about if you were to take. Maybe it was. You can talk to and I don't know what their mortgage would be. You look at under, yes, you go under Windows and at the very bottom. At the very bottom. Yeah. Yes. But they're, you know. I did not create that they have the basics. I'm enjoying all of this. Because you have to address this. You don't have to do this around. You know it's not. How long do you They were a little worried about this. Basically, put the outline. I think it's the past. Well, it is. You notice it. It's not. So you'll be able to.
Air conditioning, like maybe it's just. They said even the insulation.
Right, I mean,
They don't do it. No.
That was awesome.
That's it.
Sign like, there's a lot of like containers, pots and stuff.
right.
Maybe we should more of some, you know. Because they see us. I'm watching. Thank you.
Well, that is a very funny one.
How do you get to those, how do you money down?
Well, they really are.
How do you get to? For down thing that is very well coming, that's a lot. Didn't have a month. So it's either wait on July or take your stock money out. Hey, come on.
Yeah, I just want to say thank
Hey,
you.
what's your name?
I'm Joe.
Joe, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I would love to sit down at some point.
Let's do that. Yeah, I'll get a hold of you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Good luck with that kitchen.
Thank you. All right.
So that's what.
Hey there. Good job.
Thank you.
Like,
It was fun.
my-
Put me in front of a group of people and I'm in heaven. It's so funny.
Well, you have so much evidence too. I mean, it's good to hear what everybody does.
Right.
Also, it's just
Right.
remembering that there are this things. I mean, I really like work. How'd you hear about this? You know, and then too, I was thinking, I had one family show on Sunday, they did the speed version. They ran through and they left. And they didn't want to try, they didn't want to draw more of those people out there.
Some people, they might have been neighbors.
No, they were looking, it was a young woman with her sister and her mom. They had been looking at a bunch of condos.
Yeah.
So she said they saw her in the open house sign and just wanted to stop in. And this was the daughter's first house. Just got a job or something, we're ready to move out of their apartment and buy a condo.
Right.
But then they kind of went off popping in their own themselves and didn't really seem to want to chat. I tested a couple of times and I said, you know, this is a great size kitchen, condo, thing, you know. You know, and I said, who was looking and pointed out, so I tried to open it.
Sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they're either gonna or they're not, or they're afraid or, I don't know.
I think they just have their mindset and I'm not sure they like that place versus other places, maybe they've seen it before, so they ruled it out quickly, so they looked quickly.
Sometimes what I'll say, and sometimes it works, I'll say, are you working? You need help.
Yeah.
You need help
Yeah.
because you need, if you don't have help, you need me.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
Right off the bat, they gave me the- so I knew.
Oh, okay.
Somebody.
Yeah.
But I, you know, to elicit comments, I like your thing, the seller likes to hear what people think, would you mind sharing with me your thoughts?
Right.
And that's the one I need to remember and use as my close.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
The banner.
Not even-
Help you, anytime you need help, and I will send you the cards immediately. I always feel like I'm committed to sin and Carol will never want to work with me.
No, sure. I beg them. I beg for those cards.
And that's what I said, I started sending them like even during the.
Yeah.
No one's in there, take a picture of before we go on, you know, these people flew through the house, so I'm not sure they're interested, but here's their info.
Yeah, yeah, no, I really appreciate that, because some are just sitting and they prepared their house, they got it all ready for this thing, and they're, you know, what's going on?
So in that, the ranch house
Oh,
that I did a couple times, did they replace their driveway?
No, it's the buyer's chain.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad I mentioned it.
And that one is closed,
We closed last week.
okay.
We were in contract, initially at 480, it was listed 450, contract at 485, so it was cash buyer. We did no inspection, and the night before closing, they did their final walkthrough and terminated.
Did you get to keep any money?
No, my clients, I'm like, you need an attorney, you need to hire an attorney. No, we don't want an attorney, Carol, we're just so upset. Like, but an attorney, Carol, I don't want to do that. No, really, hire an attorney, you need to hire an attorney.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with it. So they signed the mutual release and released the earnest money and everything. What? Then we put it back on the market. So that was a 485. We put it back on the market. We sold for
That's right.
475.
Yeah.
How big is it?
They're like so upset. And then meanwhile, rates popped up. So now they're at higher interest rates.
Why they no longer want to.
They said that they wanted information on the repairs in the basement, which we gave them, okay, gave them. And they saw that there were 2 repairs. I think it was, we heard
Yeah.
that the neighbor, the next door neighbor, told them if they did, when they were out, he was outside looking, the buyer was outside looking at the outside, the neighbor came over and told them he would sue them. If they did any difference on the
Yeah.
drainage issue for the water, the property, he would sue them if they changed it and water flowed on the property. So the Patels were the buyers, chose not to buy it anymore. And I have a feeling the neighbor.
That weird guy to the right.
Yeah.
He came over when I was leaving, coming to the open house one day, because I pulled in the driveway so I could get everything out. He goes, hey, how you like your new place? And I said, I'm just here to do the open house. I'm not the homeowner. I'm going, you obviously were close friends with the homeowner when you were neighbors. If you say that I'm the homeowner. That's, I mean, he's a weirdo.
Oh, yeah, they were, Lori called them out on it, and said, so, I understand you, told the buyers you would sue them.
Yeah, that's.
We lost them. She turned around and walked away, she was so mad.
I would have been, I would have. Fires.
I know, they, you know, you'll find in this business, people will listen to you, and then people won't listen. You can give them all the advice in the world, and if they don't listen, they don't listen. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? You're just like, I really think this is what you should do. Nope, don't wanna do that, girl. Okay.
Yeah.
The money,
Yeah.
I let go, I let go of, $450 per month. I let it go. I gave it to Bill Benton, I let it go. Why? I gave it to Bill Benton.
Yeah.
You mean to let go of a $760,000 listing?
Yeah.
And give it away?
People that bad. Yeah. How did you get that next to the first?
It was a referral from some past money. And when you, when it said that, you know, we should refer so-and-so to Carol, and John goes, I don't think that's a good idea.
On the break.
You look-
I just missed out, you're right.
What was her?
Seriously.
You get an offer up there, like, on a $700,000,
He's still- he's right.
that is below the list price, and you don't even respond
Uh,
at all.
Yeah.
Or listen to me, or hang up the phone and listen.
Oh, my goodness. What were they hoping to get? 850?
Yeah, well, it was list, she started, I told her the list from 779.9. She listed it, so she listed it 800. And then I'm like, okay, this isn't working, we haven't had any showings at all. So listen, we needed to get aggressive and we need to do it now. The rate is popped up and. So she goes, what does that mean? I said, a good 5 to 8% below, you need to drop down that much. So we took it to 760, which was the 5%. And she expected to sell it. for
Partial roll of.
I know, this is not normal real estate. If you want to negotiate,
The market will speak.
It's not like.
and the crazy part is, as I said,
Yeah.
here's how this typically goes. When you get a low offer, it's far away. Then typically they want to meet you like halfway or somewhere in the middle. That's what they're trying to do, real estate members, right? I said, what you don't want it, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to not respond. You need to respond, because if you don't respond, that doesn't do anything. And I highly recommend not responding like just by dropping $1,000 or something like that. Just don't do, because that will just send a message that's, you know, probably not gonna work.
He's gotta run like.
Let me think.
miles a day.
So I called her, finally, like, where's the deadline? Hello, duration's gonna end. And she wouldn't talk to me, then finally I got her on the phone, and she was like snippy. And I just went, you know, it's really when It's really isn't my fault. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't raise rates. I'm not from credit. I can't handle what's going on in Ukraine. I can't, I'm trying not, it's not me. I'm sorry. I don't think that's going.
Yeah, okay.
Where's that going? Ooh, let me grab a sandwich. There's a sandwich still?
Yeah, I'm just gonna get to the kitchen.
Awesome. I'm gonna grab a sandwich.
Oh,
Is that
Thank
one of
you.
the-
I should grab one of these.
That's how long ago.
Anyhow, she hung up on me. Yeah. And, said, girl, I have no time to worry about her.
Oh, jeez. So how's Bill doing with her? What'd you tell the other, the seller's agent? Just that, I'm sorry, she didn't.
Won't even respond.
Why
And I got him to come up 25 grand,
Oh, wow.
but with another offer. She
Yeah.
wouldn't even respond
She
to
didn't respond.
that. I don't have time. I can't. She's not listening to me. She's gonna hurt herself. You're not listening to me.
Yeah.
I gave her someone that I think she'll listen to.
Mhm.
Most of her friends
I have
are like Bill, so.
I need your advice.
She needs.
I have a seller that I'm going to meet with tomorrow, who is a personal friend. Yeah. She has 5 acres out east. And everybody is about Intel, creating ridiculous value out there.
Right.
Well, to hold all the sales and the asset information in her area. She has a 5 acre little horse farm. And things are sitting in the market. Things have not sold at any kind of premium price. Like I said, she has 5 acres and a 100-year-old house that hasn't been upgraded. Whereas there's a nice house close to her that has 10 acres that's sold for $850. So I'm going, you're not getting $1 million for your 5 acres, because she had heard rumors of $250 an acre. And she had asked me, she said, does that seem reasonable? I said, not reasonable. I said, it's possible. But then I went out to look at her house and there's
There's just the land only, probably.
no, I mean, it's a house and a decent barn, but they just are dated.
Mhm.
And so, but the issue is all the comps I'm looking for in her area don't justify anything more than maybe $500,000, and she tried to sell it back in 13 for $500,000. And it's out of the market for 95 days. And I wanted, okay. So is there any reason to look outside of that area, thinking that there's value that Intel is creating that we're just not seeing in the marketplace? I didn't think so either, but I just wanted another opinion. Because I think that the big sales were where Intel had their footprint and they needed to buy out some houses in that particular area. Whereas she's not that close to Intel to begin with.
A developer, 5 acres, but I don't even know how much you can develop with 5 acres.
The only thing you would ever do is potentially go in, all these houses are dated, there are very few new houses in her little area. Would be to go in and buy the whole neighborhood, but there's farmland all around there. And there is a housing subdivision going in right down the street from her. So they're buying the vacant land, they're just not coming in and buying the land with houses. And then on top of that, nobody around her, maybe 1 or 2 out of, let's say, 25 houses, has improved the house in any way, shape, or form. To me,
So the house is gonna get torn down probably. They
Yeah,
just wanna buy it for the
the
land.
attractiveness of this area is that you could get
Yeah,
5
it's in the
acres.
kitchen, the food's in the kitchen if you want.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take one.
Are you?
Are
Okay.
you guys wrapping up?
This is awesome. Yeah,
We're just chatting, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, delicious
Thank you.
lunch, we appreciate
You're
it,
welcome. You're very welcome.
and hopefully I'll get to call you someday.
Just remember, we do it all.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's not just bridge lumber.
Not just,
Yeah.
we do those really well.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Oh,
everything.
no, you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
It was great. All right, yeah, Bonnie, I actually sold a property one time. The house was like falling apart.
Yeah,
And I sold the land only because there was no way that they were gonna go to water finance it.
Sure.
well, and I think this,
Donnie, you want a water?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm fine.
I'm good. Thanks, Tim. You too.
My worry is that other houses in the neighborhood are sitting.
Yeah.
You know, I just.
It might be
checked.
too early.
Well,
for
that's
the
just
development.
it. That's what I'm thinking, is if she'd wait a year, she might be better off.
I would probably, because you'll have a better sense of really what's going on.
What's happening out there.
Mhm.
I was hoping I'd go out and look at the houses around her area and everybody's adding on and they're building up and they're, you know,
Yeah,
but it's not happening.
not yet.
No.
I would keep an eye on the land that's next to her too, to see if anything happens with that. You know, like if it starts, if there's a builder that,
Well, they're getting ready to build right down the road from her. There's I forget the major road that houses front the road, and then she's the next lot behind them, and she fronts the perpendicular street.
Mhm.
If you go to the other side of where those houses are, they're clearing all that right
Yeah,
now, putting in sewers and stuff, so I think she said she had heard that Rockford was going in there to build.
I was gonna say, find out,
Yeah.
you know, like you could maybe get her to sign a listing contract. And then
Yeah,
go to the
no.
developers.
Yeah,
And say, this is what I've got.
yeah, I think this is gonna be one though that if anyone comes in, they're gonna try to get the whole neighborhood. That's what I,
Well, yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
yeah. So I
maybe,
think
maybe that's what you should be doing is talking
Yeah.
to the neighbors. The
monitoring.
people
and-
that
yeah,
own that land and say, look, I'm working with her. I'm
Yeah,
gonna work with
yeah.
you if you'd like.
Yeah,
We can do this as a team.
yeah. No, that's, my nephew was trying to put something like that together with his neighborhood out in Johnstown.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, I think you're too early, you know,
Yeah.
but, cause a lot of them basically think they're gonna make a bazillion dollars in it, you know, today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Hearing all that good stuff coming out and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna make all this money. Well, yeah, maybe.
Well, I think that's kind of what she heard in the marketplace, and I'm looking at the stuff and I'm going, I don't see it. So he said, "Where's one more one?" But I don't see one of them. Thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes. That's was a tuna, or I mean, chicken. Why don't you?
Does it remind you of Tim?
I don't know, for some reason I was like, guys, good tuna, good tuna. I was like, oh, it's chicken salad. Yeah, we need a.
Not even that much theater that.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Oh, boy, oh,